Quick disclaimer, I did not receive this game or have any links to the company that make the game Milestone. I bought this game with hard-earned cash and paid €100 for the Ultimate Edition. Everything I say in today's video are my own beliefs and thoughts, and nothing has been influenced by any outside source. Anyway, let's get into the video. Hello everyone and welcome to Ride 6. We're here today for my first play of the game. Now I will admit I have played a few minutes. You have to just basically go through a bit of a tutorial. So I have played the game slightly, but only for a small bit, basically to get to this point to do some laps. But we're here for what would be day 1 edition of Ride 6, and I'm pretty excited. First off, immediately, I'm liking this menu. I know I'm probably going to be in the minority, as this whole Ride Fest thing people are not a fan of. But I actually think it's way better than just the simple tile system that pretty much every game goes for. It's a 3D menu, feels alive, there's a lot going on, and I actually do like it quite a bit. We're going to jump straight into time trial. You all know, if you've clicked on this video, you're here to see what the game plays like, not about the menus, for example. But we're going to jump in, and don't worry, there'll be no hate on Nicola Canepa for not being a qualified rider being in this game. I'm not a game journalist, so you'll get some good information here. But anyway, let's jump on track and see what the game plays like. So we've come to the Tuscan hills of Mugello, and we have the all-new Ducati V4. Now it's the S, not the R. I'm sure that'll come later in the game, but this is the first look at the brand new Ducati V4. We're going to jump on track, do a pit start, why not? One thing I will say from the little bit I have played so far is audio is good. I'm really liking the audio so far. This Ducati doesn't sound too bad either. One gripe with the games, not this game particularly, but for most ride games and GP games for the years, is that the audio just wasn't aggressive enough, and that especially when a bike's engine revs right up towards the red line, an engine's quite volatile and the noise it makes isn't linear to what it's doing at, we'll say, 3,000 or 4,000 RPM, and the game's never really got that. Whereas I feel like, especially since they've moved to Unreal Engine 5 with GP25 and this, the higher RPM is just so much more volatile. You'll hear it in a second when I really give this some beans, and it does sound a lot better. Well, this is the first time on the V4, but everything I've ridden so far it does feel and sound a lot better than other games, but we'll give it some. Again, very meaty the sounds in fairness, this V4. First things off the bat, it's not as heavy and input delay lag driven as previous games. That's the one thing I immediately got on. I pretty much avoided most reviews after hearing some weird things from some people that I don't really believe in. So I kind of really just left it up to my own feelings really, and kind of didn't watch a whole lot about the game yesterday when it came out. But straight away for me, I feel like this is actually a very good base. It's a lot better in my hands than it looked in other hands, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just it didn't look any better than Ride 5 and a lot of the previews and some of the gameplay I saw yesterday. But when you play it, I feel like it's a lot more intuitive to other games that Milestone up, and I actually think early on here, I think it's actually quite a decent game. I think if you're a big fan of Ride 4, I think this will be a lot more in your wheelhouse. I think it's a bit more like that. It does a lot of small things now. I wonder, is this going to be in Unreal Engine 5? Just like the rider's head moves a lot more. On certain bikes, he's constantly covering the clutch with like a finger, which I think is a very small detail, which most games don't get, the very small details. And if you've seen some of my recent videos of going back playing old games, it's the small details that really make a game feel quite special. And there's some small things in this game that I really do like. Again, kind of go back to things like just like the rider covering all the clutches he's riding on certain bikes and stuff. So it is a small thing. And again, I think the audio of this V4 sounds pretty decent. As you get down into the very low RPMs there, you can almost hear as if it's a bit of a rattle off a dry clutch. And I don't know if that's been simulated in the game, but when you get down below kind of 6,000, 7,000 or 1,000 RPM, it's a bit rattly like a Ducati should be, which is quite cool. So far very positive early on in this first play, which is a surprise. I did take a big risk of myself buying this game outright for the Ultimate Edition to get it a couple of days early, because I can't refund it because I bought it through Epic Games Store. For some reason they don't let you refund it, not really sure why. Gone straight on there. It's probably them road tires there let me down. But yeah, if I didn't like this game, I'd be basically out of pocket €100 thereabouts really. It's I think $99, about £90, about 80 something euro I paid for this, if memory serves correct, last night. And yeah, it was a big risk because I didn't really get on at all with Ride 5, didn't play a whole lot of it, kind of got sick of that very fast. But I must say, straight off the bat, this just feels like, it feels like what I wanted to be, which is not the most realistic, tire simulated, the suspension being perfect, that everything feels amazing as if it's one-to-one with the real bike, but it just feels like I can put the bike where I want to, it's not doing anything weird. On screen, everything's doing pretty much what I want. It doesn't look terrible. Overall, I think the game runs and plays a lot better than MotoGP 25. Now, I do have my PC specs in the description. I am running this at 90 FPS on Ultra, and I'm having very little issues. Now, I haven't gone through and done all my graphic settings yet. I do like to turn off some things like the camera shake and stuff like that. A lot of that still is on, so there's some things I'm not liking at the moment from what I'm seeing, but that's all changeable in the game. Well, first person, because I know a lot of people play these games in first person. One thing I will say, right, from just a physics perspective, is look at the brake reservoir, look at the vibration. That wouldn't last a lap in real life. If it was vibrating that much, it would snap clean off as we've gone straight on. It's slightly overdone in the vibration department, because if you just look at it, it's absolutely bouncing around. The hose clamps and the bolts holding that down would not stand up to the vibrations the game is putting it through. But anyway, Ride 4 is always, in my opinion, one of the best milestone games on board. There's just some look to the Apex thing going on here that really makes it feel floaty for me, personally. But again, there is in the menu, there is customized camera where you can go through and basically change all your helmet cams and stuff like that and change how they are working. So that'll be something I'll probably do a video on. As always, I do change things myself a lot. I'm very much a very picky person when it comes down to it, but first impressions of this game are pretty good. And again, I always get a little bit carried away myself sometimes with new games, because the kind of new game buzz is there. But I came into this game really expecting not a lot, and I've been pleasantly surprised so far. Graphically, audible as well, very, very nice to listen to on certain bikes I've played so far. Again, like I said, I've only done a couple of bikes before this, because I wanted this to be kind of the honest reaction to how the game was playing for me. But we're probably going to do one more lap here, and then we'll jump to something a bit different. I'm actually going to probably shut up and just actually try and push a bit for a lap and see how the game reacts if I give it a bit of beans. Just there, if you can just hear it in the audio, you can just hear what is a dry clutch. It's very hard to probably pick up through a YouTube video of me talking over it, but just hear it rattling away there. I think that's really interesting. That's something now that I really like. Of course, Milestone are Italian, very much an Italian bike Ducati, so very cool. But small things like that makes a game for me. So we're going to jump to something different now. Probably try something a bit older and a different track and see how it holds up. Maybe something with some slicks even. In the garage, you do have the ride rental bikes again, as all ride games pretty much. So we're going to take this beautiful VFR RC30, probably this and the RC45, one of the most iconic Honda superbikes, and probably the RC30, probably one of my all-time favorite Hondas, if not one of my all-time favorite bikes. We'll go to Valencia. Why not? Good racetrack is Valencia. I don't know where the performance for the AI is. We're going to do 3 laps. Again, just only a little quick view of this game, really. It's nothing too serious, so I just want to get in and get on track. But so far, in terms of performance of the game, I did kind of brush on it kind of briefly. Very little stutters. It does run fairly well on my PC now. Again, I have a pretty decent PC, as I show the specs in the description. But I remember 25... GP25, that is, when that came out, it was a bit of a hound for a lot of people. They couldn't run very well. A lot of people had to turn it down. A lot of people had to, I think those patches even put out for some people that couldn't even play it at a base level to make it better. So it's quite good that straight away I find that I can run this Ultra at pretty much max FPS. I reckon I could run it at 120, but I nearly always limit games to 90, just because I think anything more than that, I'm not really visually seeing any improvement. It's just more load on the computer. So it's one of those things. one of those things I've always done. But let's get into a race here. I'm going to finish up with one race here. I think we're all on the same bikes, I believe. There's a settings, there's an RD there to my right, I think. No idea what the AI difficulty is on, but one funny thing I did see, and you might see it in this race, I don't know, but because, hello, there is multiple legends in this game, the Casey Stoners, the Canapas, and Hickmans and stuff. There's a lot of them, and there's some in different disciplines. So of course you have your road racers, your hot G's and stuff like that, and you have your superbike riders and your GP riders of Toseland and Stoner, and then you have your endurance riders and stuff, and there's some categories are off-road. I did a quick race yesterday when I installed it just to test out the game, make sure everything was okay, and one of the dirt track riders was like on pole on like a Fireblade or something, so I'm not really sure how the crossover came to see him on track, but I found it quite funny. I wonder would we see Casey Stoner on like a motard or a supermoto or something at some point in the game, so it was quite funny to see. And I don't think anyone in this one at the moment is one of the legend riders. Again, I don't know what the AI was because I didn't change it, so it's going to be pretty much on default. Now I do believe this game has the adaptive AI that the last 2 GP games have had, so I think that'll be pretty good. 2-stroke RG behind me, love to see it. They're not using all the racetrack. They're still a bit blind. They don't like to move if you're there, but at the end of the day, that's always been a milestone AI thing. They don't really like to acknowledge you exist. Let's turn on traction because I feel like I have too much road grip. Lucia de Silva, oh shit, sorry dude. Lucia de Silva was after running away at the front. Go for the cutback, oh I love to see it. No. In fairness, she kind of backed that one in lovely. Biggest issues I've had with the milestone games of late, probably the last 5 years, is that I always have felt behind the scenes there's always something else going on to what you're getting at your hands at the controller. Whereas from my early play of this, it does feel like my inputs are what the game is giving back to me, if that makes sense. So what I put in is what I get out. Corner speed is not her friend, but so far from, again, like I said, very limited, less than an hour of playtime in this game. There's a lot of positives for me, which is good because I spent a lot of money on it. But we're getting serious lean here on this RC30. I am looking forward to getting stuck into it. Now I'm not really sure in terms of the content what way to do it, because I'm not really sure if the career mode is a kind of video worthy, because a lot of races are kind of null and void. Maybe it's streamable, maybe this game is more suited to kind of one-off challenge videos. I'm not really sure, so do let me know in the comments what you'd like to see from the life cycle of Ride 6, because so far I'm enjoying it and I would like to do content on it other than just the first week or two where I kind of talk a bit about it and maybe do some setting videos and stuff like that. But so far I am enjoying this. It's the first time in a long time that today I was actually looking forward to playing a milestone game, because even though GP25 wasn't terrible, I still don't predict they'd go on that game other than to make content. I've said that multiple times, and I always have a little bit of a thing for the ride games because the plethora of bikes they have. Like you can ride an RC30 for example, like that's cool enough as it is, like, so I just, a lot of the older bikes, the original R1s, some of the R6s, a lot of old Kawasaki's, 2-strokes, just stuff you don't get in other games. And there is other games on the market that are limited, and I think the amount of bikes and tracks you get in the ride game is always very good, but it just has to play right. And I think so far for me, Ride 6 is doing a good job of that, of playing the way I want it to play. Oh, hello. I was just thinking to myself that I don't know where the front end limit is, because it feels like you have a very good front, because it really turns a lot while you're braking. But we did find that they're very, very fast, kind of came without warning. I did see some people say that it's a bit easier to crash in this game. I hadn't really believed it, but maybe I was just being a bit silly with the front tire. It is wearing away, as you can see in the bottom right, so that could have been just pure rider error. but we still have enough time. Still going to win this one, and we'll end it off there. But do let me know in the comments yourselves if you have picked up the Ultimate Edition, if you already are on Ride 6. What are your opinions of the games? Are you liking it? Are you not? And yeah, I look forward to everyone else getting this game, I suppose, on Thursday. This is going out Tuesday the 10th, so it's out a couple of days before the full release of the game. But yeah, overall so far, positive first impression of this game. I am enjoying it, and I do hope that the game does continue in this vein for me, that I don't get to the point where I get sick of it, because it does happen a lot with the milestone games, unfortunately, that my first impressions aren't always terrible, and then it goes on to, I get a bit sick of it. The more I get into the game, the more I find I don't like it. But so far, visually, game is very good looking. The lighting is very good. There's a lot more density in terms of the foliage around the track. There's just a lot going on. I find you'll probably see that in the intro when you play the game yourself, because you go to Spielberg. There's a lot of trees there. You know, I do love a good tree in a racing game, so it is pretty cool looking. But yeah, we're going to end it there, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. Let me know yourself what your opinions so far on this game are, and I'll see you sometime soon on a racetrack somewhere in the world on Ride 6. Thanks for watching. Slán go fóill buachaillí.